a, quote, game changer, and says the United States must respond forcefully. Congressman McCaul is a Republican from Texas and my guest now. Congressman, thank you so much for being here. And now, I don't think a lot of Americans understood that the general policy is that our ICE agents, when working south of the border, are not to be armed pursuant to an agreement struck back in 1990. So the question today, which we have not been able to ascertain an answer to so far, is whether this particular agent and his colleague had any chance, whether they had a gun on them as they were confronted by an AK-47 from these drug cartels.
It's my understanding they were not armed. It is the Mexican government does not allow our law enforcement to carry weapons in Mexico. It seems to me we're assisting them in this war against the drug cartels. Our law enforcement should be armed. These two agents were sitting ducks and sitting targets in what was an intentional ambush by the Zetas, the dangerous drug cartel members. They opened fire on this vehicle, even though they knew that these were Americans. They said we're Americans, we're diplomats. We had a diplomatic tag on this vehicle, and yet they opened fire. 10 to 15 assailants opened fire on this vehicle. Over 84 shell casings were found on the ground. This is a huge travesty, and this administration needs to hold the Mexican government and these drug cartels accountable for what they did.
It has been 25 years since that has happened, since a U.S. agent was killed in the line of duty in Mexico, the targeted killing of an American agent. Yesterday at this hour, the news was not yet confirmed that it was an ambush, that it was intentional, and they knew they were dealing with Americans. Today, that has changed. As you point out, diplomatic plates, they identified themselves as American diplomats, and then they were gunned down. You say that the United States must respond forcefully, but what does that mean?
Well, again, I think we need to hold these cartels and the Mexican government accountable. When I said this is a game changer, what I mean is they have now changed the rules of the game. For over 25 years, the operating assumption is that the drug cartels would not kill U.S. law enforcement or target them. What happened 2 days ago changes the rules of the game. Now we are seeing these cartels, in this case the Zetas, intentionally going after our guys in Mexico. I see this assault, this ambush, as a direct assault on the United States. And I think the United States and this administration needs to respond accordingly. We have had funding in the Congress that we appropriated 2 years ago to provide more military assistance in this war against the drug cartels, and yet the State Department has only spent 25% of that to assist the Mexicans in this war against the drug cartels. And I do believe our agents should be armed down there. And I think we need more resources. I've been screaming for years that we need more resources down on that border. And I think what happened 2 days ago is going to be a real wake-up call for the Obama administration.
Let me ask you about that, about the one piece of it that you mentioned that seems maybe the most doable of the three items you outlined, and that is arming our agents. So the pursuant to this agreement, we're told, struck in 1990, they're not armed, okay? But that's 1990. We're now in 2011. And now we've got what appears to be an open attack on American ICE agents who are trying to protect Mexican citizens along with the Mexican government. The U.S. Border Patrol Chief, Michael J. Fisher, came out, sir, and said, and I want to quote him, this is what he says: "We have to be constantly vigilant in our surroundings and make sure the Border Patrol agents are equipped the best, which we will continue to do, so they can meet these threats and be able to respond accordingly." Now, how are our agents equipped the best if while in Mexico they cannot carry weapons? How exactly are they supposed to meet threats and respond accordingly when drug cartels with AK-47s come up against them and they have nothing except an automatic window and an SUV to try to put up?
I think you hit the nail on the head. They are not equipped down there. They're not equipped to defend themselves. They are vulnerable. They're being put in a very dangerous and volatile situation down there, completely unarmed and completely unable to defend themselves. And I think that policy needs to change. Since 1990, a lot has changed. We've had 30,000 people killed in Mexico. We have a war against the drug cartels. And so the idea that we're going to put our law enforcement down there to help the Mexican government and assist them in this effort and yet not allow them to arm themselves and defend themselves is really reprehensible. I intend to hold hearings on this issue, and we need to get to the bottom of this policy and what is the policy of the United States in the Mexican war against the drug cartels.
Representative Michael McCaul of Texas, thank you so much, sir. We'll be following as you do.
Thank you.
And a reminder, folks,